Yo, what's going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. It is the first day of the tampering period for free agency, and our first big fantasy football relevant signing has now happened as the New England Patriots are bringing in my boy, Jay Smooth. That's right, Jonnu Smith headed to New England on quite the massive deal. Looking at the terms here, oh man, 4 years, $50 million, guaranteeing $31.25 million of that. Now, not only is that a massive contract, but that will make Jonnu Smith the third highest paid tight end on an annual basis in the league. The Patriots aren't messing around. They are bringing in Jonnu Smith to be a weapon in this offense. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but you are not paying a tight end $50 million with $30 million guaranteed, making him the third highest annual salary at the position, to not use him in this offense. 2020 was a little bit of a little bit here and there with him. And why was that? Well, the overall numbers, not great. The tight ends, the touchdowns with 8 is good, right? That's good. That's what we want to see. But only 41 receptions on 65 targets, 448 yards. And if you remember correctly, he was one of my guys at the beginning of the season. He is the tight end whisperer, as you all have dubbed me. I was making Jonnu Smith my call of 2020. And to get off, it was a great start to the season. Through the first 5 weeks, he had 5 touchdowns. He had games of 36, 84, 61, and 40 receiving yards. Targets, 7, 5, 8, and 7. He was being heavily utilized. Season 6 gets here, and we have a little bit of an issue going up against Houston. Okay, Jonnu Smith goes down with an injury. Okay, tweaks, I believe it was an ankle to start. Anyway, starting in week 6 is where he really started to have some injuries go a little bit back and forth. He didn't end up missing a game, though, until week 13. But he was tweaked a lot. He was tweaked the entire season. He was dealing with these injuries. And what also happened is because of those injuries and wanting to keep him healthy, the tight ends started to use more 3 tight end rotations a lot more often. To begin the season, he was on the field quite a bit, 73, 87, 88, and 86% of the time. He didn't go above 80% again until week 9, and that was the only other week outside of week 15 where he saw more than 80% of the offensive snaps. Again, after he started to get banged up at the beginning of the season, we saw him start to come off the field a little more often than what we would have liked. But again, that's because he started to get banged up. There wasn't really anything to do with his performance or anything of that nature. So for those of you that are like, oh, I'm going to fade Jonnu Smith because he just hasn't broken out, I'm not so sure that that's a good idea at this point. He's still only 25 years old. We saw what this man can do with the type of offensive snaps. They're paying him to come in and be the guy, okay? They've got some younger tight ends, but none of them have worked out. None of them have the draft capital to go over Jonnu Smith at this point. Maybe they do run some more tight end sets. But outside of Julian Edelman, what else do you really have there? There isn't a whole lot of pass-catching weapons that have really set themselves apart in terms of being like the main guy. And that makes Jonnu Smith probably the number 2 target. And don't forget, James White, if you're thinking about him, he's a free agent. He is not with the Pats anymore. So some of those little check down routes, some of those short routes that they used to go to him with, they can start to give those targets to Jonnu Smith a little bit more often. Now, if you are doubting Jonnu Smith, part of it is probably because you think Cam Newton is washed up. And yes, an awful year last season, but he came into a new offense late. He's dealt with shoulder issues the last couple of years. Last season, being on the field in New England, again, not great, but, he was healthy, right? 15 games last season. The first time he's played 15 games, he missed basically all of 2019, and he only played 14 back in 2018. But he's only 31 years old right now. He'll be 32 soon. He isn't necessarily washed up, but after missing basically the entire season the year before, He comes into New England very late in the offseason, tries to get a head start, tries to get in what was no preseason games, really not a whole lot of training camp, get on the same page as these guys. It just wasn't there last season. It could be there this season. I'm not saying Cam Newton is going back to being the Cam Newton of old by any means, but he could still be serviceable. Absolutely. And if you think about it, remember the connection that Cam Newton and Greg Olsen had? Well, their averages from 2011 to 2016 at the height of their careers. And remember, 2017, 2018, Greg Olsen had injuries, missed the majority of the season. So I'm taking 2011 to 2016 because those injury-shortened seasons, those will really skew these numbers. But when Greg Olsen was healthy, when Cam Newton was healthy, when they were both on the field at the height of their career, 113 targets per season, 71 receptions per season, 897 receiving yards per season. The volume will absolutely be there for Jonnu Smith in 2021. Again, you do not bring in a tight end at this type of money and just forget about him. They are paying him for a reason. A lot of people are going to be like, look, the Pats haven't done anything at tight end for a while. And I get that argument, and I understand. And that's why part of me hasn't been super excited about any of the tight ends they drafted, because I was like, look, none of these guys are Rob Gronkowski. And Jonnu Smith is not Rob Gronkowski either. But he's the closest receiving weapon they've had at the position since they had Rob Gronkowski. So we know in the past the Patriots have utilized the tight end position very, very well. Okay, we know that. We know that Cam Newton used to have an incredible connection with his main tight end in Carolina, Greg Olsen. So we know that history is there. We know that Jonnu Smith just got paid a buttload of money. Okay, we know that. We know that Jonnu Smith is now going to be the third highest paid tight end on an annual salary in the league. Okay, this is everything we know. And number 5, what do we also know? We know that New England at this moment doesn't have a whole lot of pass catching options. Okay, so when you add those 5 things together, like I like to say sometimes, KISS, especially when it comes to the tight end position, keep it simple, stupid. All right. If you don't think Jonnu Smith is a top 12 tight end in 2021, then I don't know what to tell you. If he plays 16 games, there is absolutely no way in hell that this guy finishes outside the top 12 tight ends. There's just no way. Now, the 8 touchdowns he saw last season, does that regress a little bit? Yeah, possibly. Because that red zone threat is going to go away a little bit because Cam Newton is still going to run some of those balls in for a touchdown. All right. But the targets are going to probably go up. The receptions are probably going to go up. And the receiving yards are probably going to go up. Unless they add 2 more weapons at the offensive position, then at worst, Jonnu Smith is going to be the number 2 or the number 3 target in this offense. At worst. Okay? Listen. You can hate. You can say Jonnu Smith has burnt me in the past. You can say Cam Newton is washed up. But these tight ends can accidentally fall into the end zone a couple of times a season and be a top 12 tight end. Jonnu Smith is a top 12 tight end in 2021. Let's book it right now. If he plays 16 games, he is locked in as a top 12 tight end in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the first breaking news of the week. We've got a lot more to go, though. A lot of players still to sign. We're in the tampering period right now. So make sure that you subscribe and stick right here with the Fantasy Headliners because we're going to be doing all these quick breaking news, instant reaction videos along the way. Make sure you comment down below. Where do you think Jonnu Smith falls in terms of tight ends next season at the tight end position? Where is he at? Is he top 12 for you? If not, then you're going to need a darn good argument why, or I am just going to ignore it. I want facts. I want sound arguments. I don't want you to be one of those guys that's like, listen, idiot, okay, you're wrong. I don't care about that. I want to hear some solid facts. Try to change my mind, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, make sure you hit that like button. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next episode. Stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.